See, I've come to notice a lot of the people on FishTube, a lot of the individuals who post videos, not all of them, but I would say a lot of them, they're just not their own. They're not their own people. They're just not their own people. They're running scared. They have no real opinions of their own. They're just regurgitating what everyone else says, do things the way you want and everything else, right? But that's not really what's going on. And they all act like they're all friends and they're all nice to each other. Nah, they're human beings. They're tearing each other apart in the background. They act like they're, understanding and playing both sides of the field. No, they're not. They're agenda driven, and it's just like anyone else. And they pretend to play both sides of the field, but they have an agenda. Okay, everybody has an agenda. My agenda is I've seen people teaching other people how to abuse fish under the guise of looking after them properly. I don't know why they're doing it. Well, they're doing it for clicks is what they're doing. They're doing it for attention. They know full well, for example, that you can't treat certain fish a certain way, and they're looking for reactions. Well, they got one from me, and now they're getting a whole bunch of clicks, and maybe I'm helping them be fish abusers. I don't know. But I'm going to keep talking out about it because I think it's nonsense. And they decided to attack me. They've been doing this for a while, actually, because I made the mistake of commenting in their comment section sometime around a year ago, starting to question like the narrative they were pushing, and I was questioning it politely, but I wasn't following their narrative, and that's when it began. So these guys will basically they act like a cult. And if you don't tout the party line, so to speak, they come for you. Well, you guys can come for me all you want, because what happens in this situation is most fish keepers, they just they get stressed out by it, I guess, because most people are worried about what other people think about them, and that's where I'm a different kind of human being. I couldn't care less what anybody on this planet thinks of me. I don't care. You can hate me all you want. I don't care. I stand by my principles. I'm not a phony who goes around and tries to play both sides of the field. Like, oh, well, so-and-so had a feeling like this, and then the other person had a feeling like that. And I can understand person A because person A, has a good point. But person B also has a good point. And, just basically no one can take a stand, right? Because they're so worried that they might lose a click. It's disgusting. There's no originality left, okay? None. You got just a bunch of people regurgitating all the same things that they think everybody wants to say, and they've all done it so many times that nobody wants to hear it anymore, because you all sound like a bunch of drones. Repeating the same mantra over and over again. And you know what's happening to FishTube? It's all just basically shifting into one point of view, with everyone else that has a different point of view afraid to speak up, because if they speak up, the mob will show up and go, no, that's not right. And then try to reframe your argument and do everything they can to shut you down through basic abuse. And they don't go to, if they want to abuse somebody, they won't go to your channel to abuse you. They'll go to every place you show up and abuse you. That's how they do it. Okay, that's how they do it. They will come to the channel and comment here and there, but they know they won't get away with that because you can get reported for targeted harassment that way. But if they show up at every other channel that you show up at and they harass you, or Another thing they'll do is they'll basically set you up. They'll pretend, oh, we want to talk about this on a live stream, and then when they get you in there, they'll be Captain Change the Subject all day. And it's not about letting anyone else have any other narrative but their own. And if you don't choose their narrative, well, pay attention to what's been happening to me. Okay, so, and like I said, when they've done this, what they're doing to me, to everybody else on FishTube, they all ran away. The other guy that was in the chat with me, the guy who actually thought this was a good idea to have a discussion like this, and actually got conned by people he thought he was his friends into basically doing something he didn't even want to do. He's gonna quit FishTube now. And why did they treat him that way? They treated him that way because he had an opinion they didn't like. And he's going to leave now because the stress is too much for him. He don't got the time for this shit. Most people don't. And that's what happens. And then you end up with Mr. Fish Abuser continuing to teach people to abuse fish. And that's how he protects his little racket. His little animal abuse in disguise racket, because that's what it is, okay? You're not doing the best for your animals. I'm sorry. And you can't put large fish in a Wallstead tank or anything even close to a Wallstead tank. Okay, now if you've just got a planted tank with normal filtration, you don't have a Wallstead tank, and I'm not talking to you. Everybody thinks, oh, I have plants, so Discus North hates me. No, I have fucking plants. I have plenty of plants. These are fake, but in my other tank, there's plants. Okay? I just don't stick them in the soil. I mount them to things so I can move my stuff around and gravel vacuum underneath, because that tank happens to have Discus in it. And that's what you got to do with Discus. But no, it's just a bunch, like I said before, posers and hosers. That's what YouTube's full of. Posers and hosers. People afraid. It's not that people have never had an original thought. I mean, there are some. People are afraid to communicate their thoughts. I've seen a few, though, in this last week, take a good hard look and actually, they were man enough to go out on their own channels and say, you know what? It makes sense, and I think I was wrong. And then, they did some testing, and they're like, I check all the tanks that I run the way that so-and-so tells me to, and my parameters in those tanks are disgusting. I think he even, basically, he's slowly water changing his tanks down the normal levels now, because his TDSs were just so drastically high, behaving that way, that he realized it was abusive. And he doesn't want to do that to his fish. And hats off to him, because that's the point I'm trying to make. Take a look around, because these people are not giving you solid fish keeping advice. And who's noticing it first, or coming to the conclusion first? It's the old school guys, because all the old school guys truly know better. If they were keeping fish for decades, they know that this little fad is it's just nonsense. And that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it.